How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over how to do the Lord of the Void Sea event boss. He does have 5 tiers to him, and each one of these has corresponding rewards. The first 4 will give you appearance tokens, which can be used to, again, get free, like legendary MTX, basically. Appearance MTX. Because whenever you get 10, you get like a guaranteed one of the unlocks. So with 20, you're pretty much you're guaranteed at least 2 of the unlocks, and then the last tier gives you like a special little icon. The last tier of the fight is really hard. I did spend maybe 4 hours. Honestly, I spent 4 hours just doing the tier 4 of the boss, and gearing up and changing my character for it. So I will cover the gear and everything that I used afterwards, but let's go over the actual fight. So first things first, pretty much for most builds, if you are building any defenses whatsoever, the purple attacks that he is doing will basically kill pretty much any build. If you have a build that can actually survive these, you're going to be extremely tanky. On the level 5 version of this fight, if I touch any of these purple spots on the ground at all, then these will actually hit you for like 45 million damage. Like, they're basically made to kill you no matter what if you get touched by them. I can handle like a little bit of hits from the barrels or some of the other things in purple, but they have a tendency to drop a debuff on me where I will basically just take like a massive erosion dot, even with like 80% erosion resist or 81% erosion resist. It wasn't survivable even on on the level 4 version of the boss. So pretty much whenever you get purple, your goal is to just basically run and ensure that you don't accidentally step in those. I blinked over this to basically get myself out of that corner, and you see I'm not trying to really go anywhere near the boss. I'm just trying to keep my distance and wait for the purple stuff to go down. As soon as I see him swap over to fire or to the erosion one, I know those are both safe for me. The green or the fire are both completely fine. Like, I can safely tank a little bit of their damage, and it's no problem. When he does this cannon attack here, what you want to do is you kind of want to float here in the center a little bit, and then you are going to want to basically be moving up here to the top corner as soon as you start to see these come through here, like right before they hit the center. And then these barrels that you see bouncing, if you end up going up here too early, these barrels will be following you up top. So you don't want to go too early. So you wait until they're about to fire in the middle, and then you teleport up here. And then you're waiting for these ones here on the right-hand side. As they get to the top, basically you're teleporting straight down, and you're going to sit kind of back here in the middle or to this bottom right-hand corner. And then so you end up using that safe spot up there for quite a few different mechanics. That is recommended. These fire in a straight line back and forth. If he does any of these explosion attacks, like these wave attacks, you do want to get away. With these barrels that he put out a circle of barrels that you saw there, these are basically going to go all the way out, and then they're going to come back in, and they will explode when they come back in. So when you do this, you do have a window of opportunity to actually DPS at first, though again you do want to make sure that you are avoiding the boomerangs here. The orange ones and the green ones don't hurt as bad. If the purple ones hit me, I pretty much die right away. But my build is pretty tanky because of the way that I built it, so I can actually take quite a few hits and play kind of greedy. You can see I did get hit by one of these bigger balls here that almost killed me, but I did manage to survive through it. When I start to see him charging up any of these attacks, like you see him, he'll hold his axe basically over his head for a second, and you'll see the color that he's charging up, and you know he's about to do one of these beam attacks. I typically would try to keep my distance, or if I do actually have him on my screen, I'll look to see which direction he's facing and just basically make sure that I'm getting behind him when he goes to do this. I ended up messing that up here, and I did get hit, but again, because it's not purple, I was able to survive it. Purple is the only one that will pretty much kill you no matter what. These barrels, if you do get hit by them, will kill you most likely as well. So do pay attention to that. Not the easiest fight for like melee builds or anything like that. So hopefully you have something that has some damage that you are able to keep up. So when you see this attack, you have 2 options that you can do. You're going to see the option that I do, which is you wait for these barrels. If you see one right here at the very top of the screen, you wait for these to start falling first, and then you teleport to the safe area up up top where we used to avoid the other mechanic. Alternatively, you could just wait to see which area he lights up and then stand in the safe area, and then you have like maybe half a second to teleport over to the other area after he blows those up. It's much safer to just wait for those barrels to come in. As soon as they start to come down, then you basically teleport up to the safe area, wait for the explosions, and teleport back out. In regards to these cannons don't actually hurt very much, so you don't really need to worry about them too much on most builds. It's more of just deal with his normal mechanics as you normally would, with basically dealing with all the visual clutter. So as you see here, he starts throwing a ton of these purple barrels everywhere. I'm just trying to run and keep my distance from the purple puddles because I don't want to die. I've already died to these purple puddles enough times today. If you watch the stream, you know that I died to him a good 30-40 times today already. And then yeah, so same thing for green. We can pretty much play greedy. If you start to see him standing still and throwing barrels like this, you do want to keep moving, because those larger barrels do have like a giant hit damage on them, like they hit for like 15,000 or something like that. You see he spawns these cannons. I go up top until it gets safe. I get very unlucky that he is charging up the attack as I port down, but I managed to actually barely tank the damage because I am using kinetic version plus curtain. So I get a lot of healing back basically every time I lose a barrier. So I was barely able to sustain that. You see here he's double stacking both these mechanics, the barrels and the thing. So luckily the safe spot works for both of them. So as long as right after they explode, I teleport away. And then he's doing green now. I see him charging up, so I try to get my distance because I can't tell which direction he's going to face. So I kind of sit back. For those, same thing here. I'm just waiting for these barrels to explode. He starts to do a lot of mechanics here. Like in his final phases, he starts throwing a ton of barrels, as you can see. He's just throwing a ton around. So I'm just trying to stay active with movement. This is where playing like a dot build or something where it's going to do like auto target while you're running around is very helpful in this fight. It's really hard to do this fight if you're trying to do it on like a melee character where you actually have to be face tanking them all the time. But here we're just trying to stay active. I see he's about to charge something up. I know these barrels that are rolling backwards towards him are going to try to explode as well. So I just, again, you see me blink away to keep my distance. I see that he's starting purple here, and I get kind of lucky there. In regards to other stuff, like there will be times where he will drop a giant wide puddle of purple stuff. You can try to run around and avoid it, but a lot of this fight honestly just comes down to RNG. Like, in order to finally get the kill, you just have to get lucky to not get a very long purple phase, right? Like, I got the one purple phase at the very beginning of the fight. I got a very small purple phase later in the fight, and that was it, right? So there will be times where you'll get, all purple phases, and it's going to make the fight really, really hard, and you'll probably just die. But you can learn from it, and there's kind of some positioning and other little things in regards to it that kind of we went over. But for most builds, the purple stuff is just going to kill pretty much any build. I don't know why. It's just always been overtuned. But let's go over the defensive changes that I made to the build in order to actually make myself survive it on Pirate 4 and 5, because I was having issues getting one-shot by things even in the yellow and green phases as well. So the first things I did defensively, the things that I have always been running is that I have been running curtain here. I have been running curtain. This is the thing that you saw save me basically when I got chunked by getting hit by both of those waves. Is that you do basically, again, you see I get 40% missing energy shield restored when I lose barrier. So this is really helpful against like really large hits. They're going to like hit you through your barrier and through a large chunk of your ES at the same time. This will top you off. And then I do have a slate with kinetic conversion. So this is what I'm doing to get barrier every time I move. So between the two of these, you're basically always getting like a nice bit of ES sustain going on with that. And then I did end up swapping over to using a couple slates with blur. So I do have gain blur for every 100 mana consumed. So I basically have permanent uptime on blur because of this, because we're constantly using mana on the build. And then I am using a slate here with +1 minion skill level and blur effect. So this is 40% more blur effect, or it's probably like 38% more blur effect, whatever it is, which basically roughly brings the total blur amount that I'm getting here up to a little over 40%. So instead of 30% chance to avoid damage, we're getting 40% something chance to avoid damage when blur is at full, which is really, really nice. And then on top of that, the last defense layers that we have is we do have basically are still the 2 defensive skills that we are using here, which is protection field. And then we are using a forced start with a defense layers on it. So the defense layers is making to where the ES shield, energy shield cannot be interrupted after it's been started for 2 seconds. This, along with force start with the extra increased energy shield charge speed, is enough to basically ensure that you're pretty much always topped off. If you do end up getting chunked, you can get healed up from that. And then the last defensive layer that we do actually have on here is deflection. So we have deflection for every 6 meters moved. We're constantly teleporting around and moving, so this is always up. You pretty much instantly get yourself back up to 3 stacks after you get hit. So this is really, really nice, again, to take a little bit less damage. I'm not actually running any armor or anything on this build right now. I'm not even running full defenses on the tree. You can see I have a decent amount of ES, but like I'm not even taking this here, which converts physical damage taken to elemental. If you do want that, you can drop some damage in order to get these nodes here, or if you don't need the erosion risk from the tree, you can definitely take these nodes here, which gives you significant defenses here with less elemental damage taken and less physical damage taken, things like that. Alternatively, things like poison immunity, if you can get this on a slate as well. This is some really, really nice survivability. There's a lot of really good defensive options, but this is what I personally use for Iris because I was getting killed repeatedly. So getting myself to, again, about 7k ES, something like that, was helping a lot, because on Pirate 4 I was getting one shot a lot repeatedly for hours on end. If you look over back some of the prior streams, I was having some big issues with it, so I needed to make some defensive changes. I spent the money to craft some new boots, things like that. It cost me a bit of money, but it's definitely done wonders, and it's basically helped with really, really nice survivability in 8-4 deep space as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And other than that, see you in the next one.